every sacrifice. Now they see you as you are.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for another House of the Dragon. This is episode 8, recap and review. I am just a side host here, just a voice, a whisper. The man without no avail, Jorge, is here to lead us. What's going on, bro?
What is going on, everybody? We are very blessed today. We got to see episode 8. Can't wait to get into this with the rest of the guys here, but we have our all-star crew like we always do. We got Ant on one side. Boom, there we go.
That's so rude. That's so rude.
And then we got my man Keaton over on the other side. There we go. Excellent, excellent. So, fellas, we're just going to jump right into this. What did you guys overall we literally just finished seeing it right now. Overall impressions. Keaton, we'll start with yourself.
Man, I love the messiness of these families, man. It's like getting off the school bus and watching Maury, because I absolutely love the difference between this show and Game of Thrones. Like, I feel like this show is all about the tension and the build up, and it's going to be some crazy payoff, but they're still just building it and building it and building it, and all this amazing dialogue. And I'm hype. I'm hype over here because it's going to go down. You just know it.
Love it, love it. How about you, Ant? What are your thoughts on this episode?
I mean, that's kind of co-sign what he just said. We thought tension between families, like between two different houses, was bad, but tension inside of a family unit, like how you can't choose relatives, like that's what we're seeing in this one. And the mark of quality writing and quality production of a show is when you can just be in a room. We didn't get that many locations in this episode. We just be in a couple of rooms, and the dialogue, the body language, and the context does all the work for you. Like, did we see a dragon this episode? Like, we
saw eggs.
We got a dragon egg.
Yep, we got eggs.
I think we heard a couple of dragons, but we didn't need it. We didn't need it. So to me, that shows something about the quality of the writing and the acting in the show. And boy, like, the fangirls have been salivating for some Eamon. And so I mean, well, I call him Damon 2.0 because that boy, he barely said anything this episode, but when he spoke or he made a look, it mattered, right? So
Dude wants smoke for real. Like,
yeah.
He won't smoke with everybody.
Look, that is a face. That is a face of the guy that you can't always take to the club because he's gonna find a fight, right? One friend
Black Air Force energy.
Yeah.
Way. Like, hey, y'all going out tonight? Nah, man. We ain't going
But
when something jump off, you like, yeah, man, come on, we need to come with us real quick, because he's always ready. He is always ready.
Well, I mean, talking about that real quick. Well, actually, Sam, what did you think about this episode?
I thought it was really good. Well, I loved the last episode. The last episode was insane. It ended on a crazy note. It looks like the story progression is going in a route that I'm very intrigued by, because now the biggest thing for me is I just felt remorse for Viserys. Like, I mean, we've been talking about him being the weak king. We've been talking about him, like, slowly disintegrating literally right before our eyes. And it's just like the man just wants to kind of just build his little blocks and his model of the area, and like his family is literally biting at each other, and all he's doing is just disintegrating at all times. And it's kind of like, literally, for once, at the end of the day, he had a little bit of a moment, whether it be seconds, but he got a moment to see his whole entire family together without, the spite and the bitterness, and smiling together. But it took a lot to get to that point, because he had a lot of really big moments in this episode. And I think that this is a good send-off for him as a character. But it was a lot, man. This is cutthroat, and I loved it from the beginning. Finding out that the sea serpent is supposedly dead, I don't think he is. To everybody just trying to make their own way. I thought it was very intriguing, the dynamics of how everything is shifted at this point.
Yeah. Now, I did want to talk about Eamon, and I know you put up that picture there, and just wanted to get everyone's thought real quick because he was such a different character from last week's at the beginning of the episode, and now that he, basically stole that dragon or commandeered it, I should say.
He earned that dragon. He earned that dragon.
But it's almost like his entire persona since that point has completely changed.
Mm-hmm.
And he's literally embodied this, like, I'm going to take what I want mentality. And just kind of seeing his swagger just walking around compared to his other brothers, it's such a unique force. And I think when we were watching, one of you guys, I think, said, like, there's Damien 2.0, like, in the scene. And it's kind of interesting how it's almost going full circle, like, you have one of the sons is this, playboy, basically, type person. You have this one who is just, like, you sneeze the wrong way and he may assault you. So definitely want to get your guys' thoughts on especially his character arc, because I think leading up to these final episodes, like, he's going to be a very pivotal point. And obviously him having the largest dragon right now, or I think one of the largest dragons, I think will kind of shift a lot. But what are your guys' thoughts on how they've ended up using him in the past, like 2 episodes, seeing him go from like this young boy to basically like, Metal Gear Solid over here?
Oh yeah, he's Enzo post game.
Yeah.
Yo, that reference.
Yo,
That reference. Oh
He
my
got
god.
that.
I ain't
Man,
seen
but-
reboot in years. Anyway,
man,
sorry.
but like, nah, he got that dragon, and it changed his whole perspective. He's like, oh yeah, I got this. Like, everybody can't handle power. He's like, I got the biggest dragon in the land. Can't nobody tell me nothing. What y'all want? You ain't gonna do nothing. Like, he's like, it changed his whole persona. And on one hand, he needed it because he was getting punked around by everybody. Everybody was picking at him and everything. And he's like, oh, y'all quiet now though, ain't you? Like, and it just, he kept that chip on his shoulder. I mean, he got jumped by his cousins and lost an eye. So I mean,
he didn't get jumped. He started that conflict.
I mean, he started it. Okay, he did start it, but at the same time, it did fit the definition of jumped. The way it ended. The way it ended. But like, he kept that chip on his shoulder. On top of that, like his brother said, like in the last episode, everyone knows it, just nobody's talking about it. So there's just beef there. And in 10 years, guess what? It's still more beef. And he still has the biggest chip on his shoulder because his brother, that is his older brother, which is weird because he doesn't look like the older brother anymore.
That casting is way off.
It doesn't. It looks kind of strange. But like, his older brother, he just doesn't care about anything except apparently sexually assaulting children. Right? Like, so he's like the one. Like, you see him, you're like, that's a Targaryen right there. Like, he's fire and blood. Like, he's the one. Like, and I'm interested in seeing where it goes because I want to hate him, but I can't because I'm like, dang, this guy just wants smoke, and I'm hyped for it.
Right. It's like The Rock in the early days. He was a villain. Like, he a villain, but
right. Right. He got the Nation of Domination though. Like,
right. I mean, and I'm gonna say, man, you give me a writable nuke and a cool eye patch, I'm gonna have a different swagger about me too. Like, look,
you're not lying.
Look, he's just like, I need some Valyrian steel. Who got some Valyrian steel, Uncle? So I mean, and we say he got a chip on his shoulder, but he the only other person at that table that was grandfather going through with that one eye. So, I mean, and then they put him right across, like for the people he got to look at, like, no, he was waiting for that cousin. He was waiting for, I'm sorry, not the cousin. He was waiting for his nephew to say some stuff. He was waiting. He's like, I know my brother doing some crappy stuff to you. I know he say he's talking outside of him. Hey, but you better not say nothing. Right, nephew? You ain't want to train that courtyard earlier, did you? No. And even that when the kid punched him, and he was like, what?
Oh man, the way he wiped that punch off. Oh man.
Yeah.
Man.
And like David was
he
like,
just pushed him.
Like David was like,
pushed him.
You leave my little stepkids alone or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, they ain't making it out of this. Not them. Not
not
the way.
Coming for both of them. I mean, not Damon. Eamon is coming for both of them.
Not the way he pushed them off. That punch, the way he ate that punch and then just pushed it off like Ivan Drago. Like,
you know what's worse? He could have used that as a chance to get one of their eyes. You see how little concerned he was. He's boy.
Yeah. Now, with the way that that Damon, obviously stepped in there immediately, obviously for me that's foreshadowing. There's going to be some type of one-on-one battle between, at least I feel, Eamon and Damon, just because of the way their story arcs have kind of been. I mean, they're basically the same character, and I think that will be an interesting account because that's almost like you have the king's daughter and then you have his wife, So it's interesting how all these dynamics kind of keep almost like history repeating itself over and over and over again. But I do find it interesting with the casting, now that you guys brought that up, how it seems like all the kids kind of grew up at the same rate. And for his character, they basically got like a man-child to play him. Because it's very obvious how out of place he seems. Even with
grown-ass man, and they're all still supposed to be young.
They're like little teenagers, basically.
Yeah, and he's the second son, right? He's the second.
Yeah.
He's the second son.
Yeah,
and he's towering over his older brother. Like, I feel like they fell in love with that actor, and I see why. They're like, this is our aim. We gotta get him in as soon as possible. That it don't matter. We just go. We go do a time skip in like 2 episodes. They'll get over.
Yeah, they're like they won't notice. They won't notice. No, but I do think that's an interesting one. How about you, Sam? What are your thoughts on him?
I mean, the thing is, I didn't hear anybody touch on it. Is that Eamon is being trained by the Queen's Guard, and the Queen's Guard and Damon already had beef from the beginning. Technically, Damon got beat by him, so the skills that this young man is getting from this dude, it technically is supposed to rival anyway, And so when I think about Eamon, and even going back to the picture, like you said, Keaton, like he was already getting bullied around and talked down, but he's smart. Like he's very intuitive and he's very brave. I was kind of like in the beginning when he first showed up, I was like, either this kid's gonna die or he's gonna be one of the strongest. And sure enough, once he got on that dragon and he started getting a little bit of taste of like real power and superiority, I think he's got a superiority complex at this point now. And so for him, he legitimately feels like he's not only better than his brother, he's a better version of what his brother should be, but even more so than that in anybody else. Like he is highly privileged, and at the same time, like now he's been training. He's been using all that anguish and hate. But then if you think about it like this, like say you and your cousins, and y'all used to fight back in the day, and then one of your cousins like legit left a mark on you. You always gonna remember that. You know what I'm saying? And like every single time you're going to be like, just that opportunity. But these are different times. We do that. We're trying to get in a fight maybe, or set somebody up. They're trying to kill. So when I think about, Rhaenyra's children, like they are acting like little boys. I was like, why would y'all go into the court like that? Y'all know what happened to your daddy. What do you think is going to happen here? And so when they put themselves in the line of fire with him, I was like, Eamon's gonna use that as an opportunity to try to kill one of these kids.
Absolutely.
I just was waiting for it.
Well,
Like,
you gotta remember how, like we said, the last episode ended with him 4v1. My man's been training for the last 10 years to fight 4v1. Like he's
Yeah.
like, let's go. Like he's that's been probably the only thing on his mind because he's not in line to be king.
Right.
That's his older brother. So my man's just been Dragon Ball Z training the last 10 years in that courtyard to
right.
lay waste to anybody. And so you're right, he does have a superiority complex, but honestly, he
I
might
think,
be superior right now.
I mean,
I
but
think, I think Sam.
he would. Oh, go ahead.
But I was gonna say, I think you're onto something where he got a taste of. You ever see somebody who feels like they're powerless, feels like they're less than, and they get a taste of, I'm actually pretty strong. Like I could do this. And I was like, what else can I do? And they get a little bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're like, yeah, I like this feeling. Y'all scared of me now. Y'all scared of me. And I feel like that's what he's doing. He's like, you know what? Give me that sword real quick. Hey Christian, come here. Like we gonna trade. Hey, wooden swords? Nah, man. Here, hey, grab that mace real quick.
Right.
And I feel like, oh, you can't be a great fighter. You got lack of depth perception. Whatever, I got this. And I feel like, and we also saw people who, when they get their dragons, they feel emboldened by their dragons. They get that kind of like a drag, like they become more. And I think that's what part of what we're seeing. I think that those kids have been in his mind a little bit, but I take him at his word. You got a dragon. Screw this eye. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna get mine eventually because that's just who I am. But,
right.
Because and I think he's probably gonna be one of those people that's kind of like Damon, who can see the truth of situations. Oh no, there's gonna be a war. Oh, we gonna fight. I ain't gotta sneak, yo. I ain't gotta. It's like I know this is coming. we gonna handle it then.
And that's how that whole dinner felt. That whole dinner at the end, it was just like, yo, man, we gonna toast right now. Yo, man, it's cool. It's cool. Wait till you go to sleep. Wait till you go to sleep.
Well, it was like as they all started. Yeah, it's like as they all started toasting, you just kind of like you were waiting, like who's gonna be the one, like who's gonna be the one who sets it all off. So no, this one was definitely an interesting one. The one thing that I will say, which was really neat to see, was how quickly both the brothers, just kind of jumped into action in that dinner scene. Like as soon as the one younger brother ended up punching him, before the other one could even get up, the other brother was already on him, slamming his face to the table. So you kind of see that their connection obviously has grown to a very different, almost relationship as sort. Because before, I mean, he was basically just like the whipping post, and now obviously things have changed. While the other two have just kind of seemed, I don't want to say stagnant, but there's really been nothing interesting about them in that sense, like all this time you really haven't seen either one of them progress or become something more than what it is. I think in the beginning you kind of see the one son trying to learn the language. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
No, that's a good still shot right there. No, I just think it's interesting how you almost see one family, like the sons kind of, each of them have a specific role. You have like the protector, you have, like the right-hand man, you got the king to be. But for the other side, you really have, like, neither one of those two, like, did anything during these 10 years or 6 years, however much,
They ain't been training.
They
so
go on in their life.
You got two kids that grew up fighting in the projects, and two kids that have happy homes in the suburbs, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like they're well adjusted, but they ain't ready for these streets.
Right.
Right.
And I like how. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I jumped in the middle of your thing. I'm sorry.
Oh no. That was it. I just find it. I find it unique how you would think that, even with Damien, like he would have tried to set up these kids a little bit better. or just somebody would have tried setting them up. And I feel it's just interesting how they're, you basically have two kids of, the son of the king, or the sons of, the daughter of the king, but yet they're really not, they haven't lined themselves up for anything. And even during that one scene in the beginning when they were at the table and, they were talking about this kid can't lead, the army. And you think about it and it's true. Like, what's a little, because realistically now he's what, 15 maybe?
14, 15, something like that.
He can't lead at all.
He ain't no Rob Stark or no like Jon Snow, nothing like that. And if you think about it, again, go back to the cousins. Y'all used to fight and play around, and you had like, that cousin used to beat y'all, and then you went off and got some training, or when the cousin went off and got some training, learned how to fight, came back like, you still threw it. Hey, man,
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah, you beat my butt. Yeah,
it's the way he just ate that punch and pushed him off. I can't get that out of my head.
Look, that was disrespectful. It's like if you hit somebody and you catch it, they dodge the next one and just smush your face. Like, just sit down. But like I will say this. Oh, go ahead.
It's like when Thanos hit Captain Marvel in Endgame. She's like, what?
No. And that Tony Stark knockout one. Remember we saw in the trailer, he just hit Tony and he just but what I did like was, and forgive me for not knowing their name, but two black girls they just got engaged to. They went to That's My Man Looks Quick, like, and even stopped them from doing that Will Smith. She's like, nope, you right, baby, you right. Good joke. Toast to y'all. Like I know this isn't going to end well for any of them. But I would love to see them actually get married and have their own like houses, because those we said that last episode when she grabbed his hand, the bond they had when they all fought together, like they are family, like they are a family, like married. And even when she was like, yeah, we're gonna get married, they was like, yes, we've been waiting for this. Those black girls might keep those boys alive. They might keep them alive. I
it's true.
That's actually a true statement. Now, kind of switching subjects a little bit, and moving over to the different households. What do you guys think about Otto and how he's basically literally like the puppet master right now, in a sense? Like, what are your guys' thoughts on him being the hand again, and then more importantly, like just basically orchestrating a lot of what's happening, and obviously running it through his daughter, but you can kind of tell very quickly he's kind of in charge of a lot of this. What are your thoughts on how he's being portrayed and how they're using him? And Ant, we'll start with you, Ant, this time.
What? If I start first, how can I interrupt you? Anyway, I don't think Otto is as in control as he thinks, right? I think he's in control from the sense of when there's no resistance, but in his daughter's heart of heart, she wants to make peace. I think something's going to happen where they're going to go too far with this, and one of them kids is going to die, and it's going to be like there's nothing to come back through after that. I think that he thinks he has more control over the king. Like even he was like, Your Highness, it's breakfast. He looked at you like, hey, I know it's breakfast. I met with the family. He's like, oh, here, have some milk in the poppy. He's like, no. So I think it's one of those times where you have somebody that is taking advantage when he doesn't have any resistance. But once he gets some resistance, people realize he doesn't have as much power as he thinks he does. If that makes sense.
No.
And I think his daughter has always had her own agenda. Or I'm sorry, his daughter has always had the power to like push him aside when there was an agenda for her. So yeah, I hope Otto gets it back. That's all I can say. Like I want Otto to have a really what's the worst death we've seen in Game of Thrones? Like I need him to have a just no building can collapse on him. He can't get stabbed. He need to get eaten by a dragon or burnt up or something. Like I don't know. But good on the actor. Good on the actor though. He is so difficult.
How about you, Sam? What are your thoughts on him?
Honestly, I think that he orchestrated this whole entire thing. I think that the dissension, the lies, even down to the king's health, I think that he's played a hand in all of it. I think that he was the person that got the other son to work in tandem with the queen when he left, because it doesn't make sense that all of a sudden he gets out as the hand and he's gonna just leave his daughter there alone. No, that's not a coincidence. I think that a lot of this has all been orchestrated by Otto, and I think it's all been building up to this. Like he was like, now, irregardless, my line is gonna be on the throne, but in the interim, because I can't really trust Aegon because he's not worth a darn, I'm going to be calling the shots. And the fact is that he was literally sitting on the thrones doing it. And I was just like, this is not going to go well. And that's what made it such an endearing and interesting moment to see Viserys in his haggard form walking up to the throne, to really try to have a last ditch effort to try to protect his family ultimately.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it really was just about Rhaenyra. I think he was trying to keep the divide from happening, because I don't think that the queen has thought about in the event that Rhaenyra is pushed out, what does that mean with other people coming down on them as a family? Because at a certain point with these time jumps, I don't know if Otto is going to stay after this season. Because if they hadn't been doing all these different time jumps, I was like, oh, okay, they're definitely going to use him in the second season to do more duplicitous stuff. But now he may meet an end very soon. But I think this is all him. And what's crazy is that Daemon now more than ever is looking at Otto like, yeah, nah, I need you to be away from my brother. Because I don't know if y'all agree with this or not. I feel like this is the episode that Daemon was at his most vulnerable. I felt like Daemon showed so many different mood swing changes because of seeing his brother in the way that he was. Because, I mean, of course, he's always going to be a jerk. He's always going to be saying random stuff that's out there and doing whatever he wants to do. But I felt like, the way that they were talking about Rhaenyra, causing him to have an emotional reaction. The way that he saw his brother losing his crown made him jump to go up there. I don't think it was about making a play for the crown. I think it was legit for his brother. And even at the dinner table, like I've seen Daemon sit there and turn a dinner table out, but instead he kind of played, the nice brother and was just there. He de-escalated the situation in front of both of the sons. So it's interesting watching this paradigm shift where Otto has got all this power and Daemon is, a more well-rounded individual where he's having emotion compromising situations. It's interesting to watch. It's really interesting to watch.
How about you, Keaton?
It's funny because I can't remember which one of you said it was like how history repeats itself. And even though this is a prequel, like I look at Otto Hightower and the first thing I think about is Tywin Lannister. The way he's trying to just set his family up for this dynasty, but not paying attention to his family and what's going on, right? Like Tywin was sitting there trying to set up the family like Lannister gold. I'm gonna put a Lannister in charge of everything, not watching his two kids, right? And what they're up to. And then having some really crazy grandkids because of it. Exact same thing happened here, right? Because they're trying their best to put, who are they trying to put on the throne? Somebody that's out here sexually assaulting, right? Kids, right? Like, and so I think you're right. I think Otto doesn't have as much power as he thinks he does, and it's one of those things that is going to come back around just because the dynamic, it can't sustain itself. Like the way he was sitting on the throne like it was his, you could see it on Daemon's face like, oh nah, that ain't your chair. Like it's one of those things that like Sam said, I think Daemon really did this episode show like, nah, this is my brother. I love my brother. I'm a fight for our name. And so I don't see like the whole Otto in power or whatever, like that ain't gonna last because they set up like, this picture right here, like they set up this whole thing, but I mean, you can't be taking the Targaryen dragons off the wall, like and
Yeah.
replacing it. Like that's disrespectful, right? Like, and so it's gonna get real messy.
Yeah, like, and we praying now. What did we say? Grace at the table, like, and that's bold, right? They set up statues. They took the dragon off the top of the small council,
Yep.
like, and I don't think it was a house thing. I think Damon was like, "You disrespected my brother." And one of the things I loved about Damon, and this is Matt Smith is incredible, right? And I think he's bringing a lot of that Prince Philip to this, where he's saying a lot with just body language. Like, it's ever when you see your hero or somebody in your family that was your hero growing up, and they're getting older, and and they're sickly, and it's hard to look at them in a way. Not because you're disgusted, it's just that you can't reconcile that with the image of who's in your head, right? And I felt like he did that when he first went in. Rhaenyra could look at her dad and grieve her dad's state. He couldn't even bear himself to look at it because he loved his brother so much, right? And that's something we've always said. And I've seen other sites debate this and everything like that. No, he loved his brother. When his brother said, "I never have to fear my brother trying to kill me to take my crown," that's not my brother. And Damon kind of chuckled when he was listening in, like, "Yeah, I'm gonna kill my brother." And when one of the most touching scenes is when the crown dropped and the king was like, was telling the king, "No, I'll get it." And it is like, oh, and we were responding, so I couldn't hear what Damon said, but he probably was something like, "I got you," and helped him on there, and I almost felt like he wanted to give him a kiss, like, you know what I mean, like I felt like not like a kiss, but like a, you know, like a like, you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
And I think we forget that this is his older brother, like this is his, and what we're guessing is the age difference is really vast between them. So that's his older brother. So I like that. Even at the table, I think you're right. I think he was giving him that. I usually cause some drama, but this might be my brother's like last wish and stuff. Let me just let him have this moment and hope these kids behave themselves. And yeah, Matt Smith is carrying this show a lot up until this point. So I'm really happy.
Yeah. Now, speaking of that, because I think we kind of jumped on a couple scenes. So I think for me, the most impactful scene, I think, Sam, you were the one who talked about it, was when everyone was basically at, the Iron Throne. And it was almost like they thought they were going to get away with a quick one here. And then as soon as those doors popped open, I thought that shot was done wonderfully. And it was one of those things where, without saying anything, it was so interesting how many characters were kind of, you can just tell from the expressions on their face and their bodies of like, oh crap, like no one was expecting the king to get up and actually be there.
Right.
I think that scene kind of put a big turn on it. And for me, I think that was also the scene that showed how much Damon, as much as like, he was like a wild one a couple years ago and all that, how much respect he has for his brother. Because as soon as, obviously, I forgot the guy's name who was just mouthing off, like there was no hesitation. Like, I think that was one of the cleanest cuts I've seen in a while. And it was like, for me, when I was looking, it just came out of nowhere. But after it happened, it was like, it made so much sense. Like, he's standing up for his brother and, like for the king at this point in time. So for you guys, I guess, how was that scene? Like, how did you guys take that scene? That whole, because I think that scene and then actually the final like dinner scene were probably the most impactful out of this whole episode. But what were your guys' thoughts on that one before we jump over to the dinner scene? And Ant, I'll let you go first now.
So when the king walked in, I love how that was shot from behind him and just seeing him walk and struggle, doing his Yoda walk down the thing, and how people get reacting and automatically get off the throne. And even, what I thought is like everybody probably respected his strength then. For a character we call weak a lot, for him to be able to do that, and again, just to be like, my daughter said, "Come defend me now," and he got up and defended his daughter again.
Yep.
Again, his daughter called him and he was there when he needed it. And he hobbling down and without help. And he had a little smile like, I'm confused. Are we here to settle a matter that was already settled?
Yes.
Again, right?
Yeah, when he said again. Okay.
Yeah. Or even looked at Otto. Yeah, I'm gonna sit the throne today, and I was like, yeah, so I loved everything about that scene, even the lead up. But my thing is, again, I think Damon sees how things played out, and the guys get emotional because the part where Damon was like, "Go ahead, say it, say it." Yeah, I'm just waiting for you to say it. Say it. Go ahead. No. Go ahead. And he, bastard. Damon was like, yeah, I need to turn you back.
Well, you know what? It wasn't even just that. He said bastards, and then he said, and you know what? Your daughter is a whore. After that, I don't think we saw that man again. He was gone. Look, and we saw Damon in the back. And this man, I don't mean to jump in, but this man knows Damon. This man saw Damon beat a messenger to death. Why he think he could get away with saying that? Why did he think I don't. What was he thinking?
And this is why some people y'all can stop calling Jerry, whatever. Who wrote the series? What's his name? Who wrote this?
Oh, George R.R.
Martin. George R.R. Martin. Right? Stop calling him racist. The black people just got out of Dodge, or they mouthed off too much. like that was. Like, what did you think was going to happen, man? Like, you telling off the kid. You really thought he was weak. Like, you really thought he was weak. And you called his daughter a whore. A whore.
Right. His first time back on the throne in how many years, probably? Like,
yep.
Look,
do y'all feel sorry for that man? Do y'all feel sorry for him?
Who?
No. Mr. Kept his tongue. No.
Look,
you earned that.
The moment that
you earned that.
I'm gonna have your tongue for that. Damon's like, bet I take it more than that. The only thing you can left is the tongue.
if you notice the timing, Damon was already swinging by the time that sentence was done, because he was like, "I'll have your tongue for that." But Damon had already decided before he had said anything, like, "Oh no, this head coming off."
Well, I mean, he did get the tongue.
You're not gonna call my wife no hoe.
And he said he can keep his tongue. He didn't plan to cut off his neck. He went for the top of the dome.
Yeah.
Valerian still cut sharp. But
that shot was pretty dope. Like, looking at it from the front, and you just see his head fall off, and you just see Damon just with his sword out. That was a good keeper there. Now, moving from there, obviously, to you have that, and then it goes to this, which I find interesting. How obviously you can tell that the king is going through. He's going through a lot right now. Physically, mentally, the whole 9 yards. And he basically asked for this like family dinner. And it was unique because I'm sure all of us have that moment where you kind of have, like that grandma or grandpa who's, they're kind of on their last leg, and everyone puts on that ugly sweater that they got that 1 year just to like appease them for that like final time. And I feel everyone just kind of understood, like, this is it, and it was neat. I thought one scene that was particularly interesting in that whole kitchen part, after everything kind of like went down, when the queen went to Rhaenyra and kind of touched her, you could almost tell that Rhaenyra basically was just thinking about last time they were that close was when she sliced her hand.
Right.
And it was like that instant kind of like freeze, like, are we, like, what's about to happen? I thought that was an interesting shot there. But what were your guys', I guess, kind of some of your highlights or takeaway from that dinner scene itself? And Keaton, we'll go with you now.
Well, the first thing, when just watching how Viserys was reacting to the family being together, like, this man is not only rotting away, but he also has the weight of the world on his shoulders because of the prophecy of what's coming, right? Like, he's he's thinking the same way Jon Snow was in those last seasons. Like, look, ain't gonna be no King's Landing if we don't squash the bigger problem. And so the whole time all this stuff is going on, his mind is only like, y'all need to sit together because there's something really, really bad coming and y'all don't even understand. But it shifts right back to the family squabbles. Like, it's just like, nope. And he's looking around, and it's funny because even though he sees it, I feel like there was a moment there where even when they showed on him, he's like, this is BS. I know
Right.
this ain't gonna last. Like, I felt like that's what he thought. Like, yeah, they said they're toast, but looking around how everybody's reacting, how everybody's looking at each other, he's just like, nope, this ain't gonna work. Like, I think he knew. I think he knew. They tried their best to give him his happy moments, but he's like, man, the moment I go to sleep, I'm gonna hear them bells ring.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I take it as like, I mean, this man, like you said, Keaton, he knows he's dying. And he's got all this weight and pressure and mental exertion. I think that I respect him for airing it all out. I think the way he thought about it was like, look, I'm about to be out of here.
Oh yeah,
And I need you guys to know the real truth and the way I look at all of this. Whether or not you want to do something with it or not, this is my last begging wish for you guys.
yeah,
And I think that that was the most important thing to him. And I think I mean, it goes back to ignorance is bliss. I think that him seeing them actually smiling gave him like a moment to breathe. Because I think this whole entire time, like he hasn't been able to do that. Like he
Yeah.
hasn't taken a breath. And I think for him to just see it visually and see like Damon smiling, seeing his wife smiling, seeing everybody. He said it himself. He's like, everyone in this room I love dearly. Everybody. And I think him seeing them smiling meant the world to him. But at the same time, it allowed him to be like, you know what? Okay, I got this moment for me. Now I can pass on. They're going to have to figure this out, kind of thing. And I think that, I mean, he's kind of like, I mean, I ran my race. I finished it. Like I can't continue to move forward anymore. Y'all have to figure this out. And I think that's the thing that was frustrating to me when I thought about Rhaenyra coming to her father yet again. Like, what will you have me do? I'm like, girl, look, at this point, you need to realize, like, yeah, you got Damon having your back, but you need to be willing to be like, okay, I got to really deal with this. She's still looking for her father to help her, you know, and everybody else is looking to use the king as opposed to figure out an actual solution of succession. Like nobody's thought about the fact, okay, if this man dies, what if Rhaenyra does become this? How can we help her? Nobody's thought about that. It's always like everybody has their own motivations. And so now it's going to be very, very interesting once the smoke clears. Not just after his death, but after this war that's coming, and I know it's coming. I'm curious to see what happens to any of these people because I don't know. It's a beautiful moment at the same time. It's a terrorizing moment to think about where they're going to go from here.
How about you, Amp?
So I think there was a genuine moment where people relaxed and there was some genuine laughter, and maybe it wasn't too much mixing between the different sides, but there was a moment of relaxation. I think the show has showed these people are not really good at pretending to be happy. So I think there was some moment where there was some couple people they laughed at some point. Like I saw them, like, they framed it like that. I think that Sam's right about how the king is doing that last plea just to like, hey guys, like if you don't do this, we will be destroyed. And I think that it's showing that he didn't do as well a job as the king before him of making sure this was secure after he was gone and stopping the civil war. Probably because he loves everybody, right? It's kind of hard to discipline people to the extent that you love that you would if this was just some regular like nobleman, right?
Right.
So I think that I think that oh, I had a thought and I lost it, but I think that you had that. I think that oh, this is what it was. The older generation in this family, I think they finally got to see the truths that were holding them back in their youth. I think Rhaenyra sees why she really wanted the throne was to get her acceptance and her dad's acceptance and love. And now she's like, I really didn't even want this. Like, what I wanted was your love. I think Damon finally like he was always trying to prove himself to his brother in a certain way, realized he didn't have to do that. I think Allison had this moral high horse, and now because she's in a place of power and playing these games in different ways, she realized her hands are really dirty. She's a murderer at this point. She's, covering up rapes and manipulating girls and gaslighting and stuff like that. So this moral high horse of and sometimes we have people that do that, and that's why you have to be really careful because now the kids have grown up with these dogmatic beliefs and who's evil and who's the enemy and what's right. And you ever see somebody that they pour this dogma into somebody, and then when the word's like, no, this is the real world, you got to do this. Like, what do you mean? You have told me these people are evil. You told me I can't do this. You told me. And so now they're fighting. They never realize why there's animosity. You planted all these seeds. And so the older generation is kind of like coming to terms with some of their like insecurities and trauma. You've already planted the seeds for these grown adults that you've been nurturing off of this hate. Like milk, like feeding them this milk of hate, and it's out of your control. It's a wildfire now. You control the campfire, you control the spark, and now it's beyond you, right? You're not giving Eamon his eye back. No, nothing in this world is gonna make him feel like him. It would literally take White Walkers to come in and distract y'all to do that, and we know that's far away.
Yeah.
And so I know I'm talking a lot. I'm finishing up here, but I think that this is a really written well to show that the little grudges that grow into bigger grudges that you pass on to your kids, and you make these battle lines, and this happens in families today. I mean, there's no dragons and sword fights and all that other stuff, but I mean, some families are sword fights, but it's showing how that poison has affected these kids, and they'll never be close. They'll never be close as a family should have been close. And that's the tragic beauty of this episode and really the season.
I think that kind of sums it up extremely well. I think it's going to be interesting because I just looked right now and there's 2 more episodes left in this series. So, because I know we were talking about earlier if it was 9 or 10 episodes. So there's 10 episodes. Where do you guys, I guess, just kind of closing it off with this chat, like, what do you guys think will happen next? Like, if you guys had to put your thoughts into play and all that, like, what do you think is the next play here? Because obviously, with the king kind of, which I think having a peaceful, send off, in the sense that he got like his last visual, of his family was everyone together, and then unfortunately, like he goes in bed, and I know we don't have closed caption on this, so all of us are trying to figure out what were his final words. So when we see it with the rest of y'all, come Sunday, we'll be able to see.
He said, you peasants. No.
Yeah, we'll be able to see kind of what he says. But what do you guys think is going to transpire in these next 2 episodes? What are some of your guys' thoughts, and let's just go with what are some of your thoughts, and then name me one person who you think will unexpectedly die. Because I think this being Game of Thrones, we really haven't had any major deaths. Like, when you think of, like, all the characters for the most part have all still been there. So yeah, let's go with that one. And Sam, we'll start with you.
Yeah. Final thoughts on where things are going. So it's weird. Like, I think that the king passing away is going to be a very interesting thread because of the last thing that he said before he died. It all falls down to Allison. Depending on if Allison take him at his word, or she take it as, oh, okay, he's, talking out of his head, because he didn't even know, he wasn't coherent enough to know a lot of the times who was Rhaenyra, who wasn't. And we knew a long time ago he had that conversation with Rhaenyra, like, prepare her for this. And she brought it up. So it may be in a trigger for him to bring that back up. The it makes sense that he's concerned about the realm, so he's bringing it back up to Rhaenyra. But instead, he talked to her about it. He talked about their son. He talked about her, that she's the one. And it's kind of like, it's interesting. I guess it's foreshadowing because she raised the cup to Rhaenyra saying, you're going to be a great queen. And now it's kind of like, if she chooses the route of her dad, this can get very complicated and very bloody very fast. She's already got people close to her ready and willing to take an eye or a life or burn a house down. She's got her father on her side willing to do anything and everything to set everything up. She technically, even though her sons are incompetent, one of her sons has one of the biggest dragons in the world, and then the other one, he is conniving and evil in nature. And yeah, he's spoiled rotten, but she could use and control him just like what's the name used Joffrey. You know what I'm saying? So there's so many ways that the Greens could take this and run with it. And I think that that's going to lead to the war. The thing that is interesting now is that now that Rhaenyra has Daemon, and now that the Sea Serpent's kids are with her kids, that adds a lot of volume. But it makes me fear that what could probably happen is I worry about this character. I don't know that she's going to last. Yeah. I could see something like, them making a plot to kill her off just because of the decision that she made, that, she wasn't loyal to the Green. And then her husband coming back and being like, what in the world have y'all done? What has happened to my brother? What has happened to my wife? What's going on? Because I don't think the brother's dead. I don't know how he comes back into this.
Wait, what brother's dead?
I'm not the brother, but the husband.
The husband, yeah.
I was about to say, Dome is gone.
No, the brother's gone. The brother is gone. I don't think that the husband is dead because they would have showed it.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask you guys this. Did Rhaenyra and Daemon plan for her husband to die, or did they plan for the husband to be able to ride off into the sunset with the man? Because I found it was weird that they would pick the lover to purportedly kill.
They knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing because she had that conversation with them about like how you're a good man and that is rare in this world. Like she basically was like, I got to get you out of here because this is about to get real ugly. Like,
So it's kind of like it may be that, the son might find the dad. I don't know, but I think that it's just going to be different threads happening. It's all going to come down to something. But again, I don't know the story, so I don't know what actually is Rhaenyra's story. I don't even remember it. Somebody said that there was a moment in Game of Thrones where they talked about her story, and I cannot recall it because
if you don't want a spoiler, don't look it up.
I'm not, but I do know that the person that talked about it was a person that I thought was wrongfully murdered. That I'll never forget that, but I don't remember her story.
No,
I don't remember the story.
So Joffrey talks about the end of it.
It was Joffrey, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was the girl that got burned alive.
Yeah, but no, it was Joffrey.
You a fan of Joffrey, Sam?
No. You remember the girl? You remember the girl that got burned alive by her own parents?
Yeah, she talked about the Dance of Dragons a little bit, but they didn't go in depth. I feel like it was. I think it was Joffrey. Like Joffrey straight up said, like,
blah blah. Yeah.
Well, Ann, how about you, man? Let's jump over to you. What are your where are your thoughts at with this and what's to come?
So I think the king dies. And then I think that once the king dies, like in history, the king can proclaim all he wants who's going to succeed him. Just like how the Sea Serpent did. Oh, that was such a really good mini example of what's going to happen. The Sea Serpent said who he wanted his heir to be, right? But as soon as he's thought dead, they didn't even think the Sea Serpent's dead yet. They just think he's dying. And everybody was like, screw what he said. This is what I want to do. And the different factions, the political games started going. Except now you're going to have dragons involved with this. And bitter ex-boyfriend nights. And all these things going on. That was really good. That was a really good setup. I didn't even think about that. Foreshadowing for what's going to come ahead. So I think he's going to die peacefully. We've seen these rifts. Allison and Rhaenyra they have one. This is their last hope of like we can reconcile and be a peaceful family again, right? Even though they can't do the Rhaenyra marry my sons to your. Wait, who's she gonna marry her sons to? At one point, she was talking about marrying their children together. Does Allison have more kids than? She must. She must have more kids than the.
Well, she has. Yeah, I think she has 3. It's the daughter and the 2 boys.
All right, so that can't happen anymore because they're betrothed to somebody else. But something's gonna happen where there's no turning back, and I think that's probably gonna be one of the kids get killed. Like once one of the kids get killed, and that's just gonna set it off, and it's probably gonna be the ending. Because actually, in Game of Thrones fashion, next episode is when the big stuff happens, right?
Yeah, episode 9 is when.
Yeah. So I think that's gonna be it, and then episode 10 is gonna set us up for what's really gonna happen after that. So we might get one more time skip, but I don't think so. And because now we're at the 30-year mark, right? We've been following them for 30 years.
Yes, because I think last time when we were talking about it, it was a 20. Did we agree it was a 20-year jump?
Yeah. So this is 10.
Yeah. So this is 10 more after that.
So if I had unexpected death, I would either say it's going to be Otto, but besides one of the kids. I think one of the kids buys it before the end of the season, at least. And besides that, I think it's going to be Otto or Auntie. I think it might not be Auntie because I think she's going to live to see at least one of her grandkids get murked. So I hope, and maybe it's just me. I hope it's Otto. But that's my guess.
How about you, Keaton?
Oh gosh, so I think it'll get ugly just because of what Allison heard the king mumbling, and it was weird because he said something about Aegon, and my first thought was like, is it one of those things where he's actually having a vision of what's to come and he's seeing the Mad King Aegon? Like, is that
right?
Is that what was going on there? And she took it like, oh, Aegon needs to be on the throne. Plus, like, I don't think anyone else was really around there. So, like, whenever she discovers that he's actually passed, is she going to announce it? Or is it going to be one of those things where, like, they just try and move quietly? And she's like, well, this is what the king said right before he died. I don't know what else to tell you. Kind of like, yeah, you know, kind of like almost what happened with Robert and Ned in Game of Thrones. Like, he made Ned basically the king until Joffrey came of age, but Cersei was like, oh, nah, that ain't happening. And I think that's what's going to happen now. And I do think that someone's going to bite it that's going to be like, all right, line in the sand now. Now we got to fight. And I think it's going to be, Aemon that does it. I think he gets revenge on one of those 4 kids that took his eye. And I think that's really what's really gonna set it off.
Me too. I think it's gonna be Aegon.
Hold on, I want to change my vote. I think it's gonna be Aegon. Because this is the thing. The moment that he does something stupid, because I think what's gonna happen.
You think Aegon's gonna die?
Mm-hmm. Only reason why I say that is because the way he was flirting that old girl's Damon's daughter.
Yeah.
Damon's daughter. I was kind of like, he just keeps it being so messy, and it's gonna get him killed. Now, the thing about that is, if that happens, Alice is gonna go off the deep end, and I think all gloves will be off. And I also think it would be a way for Eamon to kind of be like, all right, bet I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to protect my family and my legacy, because I'm this or that. I think, you know, if he did die, I think that'd be a very interesting twist, because then it's like, oh no, that was there's got to be retribution for that. I think going back to what Allison said, you need an eye for an eye. If she loses a kid, what does that mean for everybody else? That's the way I think about it. So
I think she can't control Eamon though, and I think Eamon is the one to go off the and we've already seen that she'll go to any length to protect her sons, even if they're dead wrong. So
yeah, and I don't think it'll be. I doubt it'll be Aegon, just because like I don't see any of those kids having it in them to kill because like we saw what they were capable of at this dinner, and they
the
were
boys ain't got
soft.
no hands. They got
They
no
were
hands.
Charmin. They were Charmin soft. Like
Two ply.
it was sad. It was sad. I think it's gonna be Aegon, and he's gonna be like, 10 years. You thought I forgot? I can forget. And I think that's what's gonna set it off, and it's not gonna be because the kids necessarily want revenge. It's gonna be Rhaenyra that's gonna be like, all right, we're doing this, and Damon's gonna be like, I've been waiting for you to say that. Like he's like, and so yeah.
Like Snoop on the Wire. It's your turn, girl. I've been waiting for that.
Nah. So all right. So then to close it off, let's go ahead and grade this episode then. So let's just go into reverse order. So Keaton, what do you rate this episode 1 to 10?
I give it a 9.
Okay.
I give it a 9. I love when you build up tension. Like when you build up tension for a payoff later, I'll take it every time. Yeah, I give it 9 out of 10.
Well, that's awesome. Ant, how about yourself?
I'm gonna give it a 9.5. This is almost a perfect episode to me. And again, I'm like Sunset Limited. I'm a fan of you. If you just be in a room, like not a lot of special effects, not a lot of things like that, and the conversation and the tension carries the show. We went to 2 different rooms pretty much in the show, and the conversation, the dialogue, and the plot drove this whole episode. They shut me up. I was talking a lot of trash in early episodes, guys. A lot of trash, and they shut me up. So I'm gonna take my L. and this is like a 9.5.
All right. How about you, Sam?
Yeah, this is between a 9 and a 10. I probably rested at a 9 out of 10. Like Ant said, the dialogue is just insane. And the thing that was getting me is I never knew what was gonna happen. Like it could have easily escalated with a couple of different people dying very quickly. Because if like they would have like thrown her off of the case and Rhaenyra wasn't gonna be able to be the line of succession, then what that mean for her kids, they could have just killed them on the spot. But I think the king in this episode is what kind of like sways me to be like, this could easily be like a 9.5. Like I love what they did with the king. Like I didn't know how they were gonna close him out as a character, but respect for how they allowed him to go out. They let him keep his dignity in some regard. I didn't see the rat crawl into his eye or anything. At least he died. He died with seeing his family, smiling and whatever peace you want to give him.
Right, like you got that last dinner. Now I'm about to get mine. Time to go. Time to go.
No, this was awesome. As always, fellas, it's been a pleasure. I think we can all agree. This is high 9s episode, so I am so excited for next week and seeing what next week brings. But as always, Keaton, Ant, Sam, as always, thank you guys so much. Everyone else, please leave a comment, drop a like. Let us know what your parts of the episode you guys liked. Let us know what things you enjoyed, what you didn't enjoy. And if you disagree with us, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. Yeah.
Oh, I will say this. If you got leprosy, keep your mask on while I'm eating. I am eating here. I got to sit across from the table looking at your one eye, like in your eye socket. Like, come on, granddad. You can't do everything. You can't do everything. Wait till after we eat to do this stuff.
That was for dessert. That's all. He was just trying to give you a good dessert pick.
When people want to leave, they just gotta go, oh, I'm so tired. I can do something so I can just get out the room.
Oh, man. All right. But, hey, This is from TeamJVS. This is us reviewing House of the Dragons, episode 8, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Bye, everybody.
Peace.
Filing out the top of the
I can see the skyline, 50 mile radius on my timeline. Ain't